Ladies and gentlemen, this is DVP World. You're watching another edition of Military Mind, bringing you news from the front lines. I'm your host, Benjamin Lee. Now, on the front lines in Russia's war in Ukraine, there seems to be very little regards for any potential ceasefire deal. In the last 24 hours, Russian troops launched almost 140 attacks in the Sumy region. There are reports of damage and destroyed civilian infrastructure, according to local officials. Meanwhile, at least 16 people were wounded in a series of Ukrainian drone attacks on the Russian region of Belgorod, officials said this morning. The Russian Defense Ministry said 12 Ukrainian drones were destroyed overnight, 3 of them over the Belgorod region. Now moving to the front line, in the Kursk region, battles are underway for the Russian village of Tyotkino and a Ukrainian village in the border areas of the Sumy region. The Russian military-affiliated project War Gonzo is reporting an airstrike targeting a bridge near the village of Zvenoye in Russia's Kursk region. According to the group, Ukrainian forces are attempting to infiltrate the region east of that settlement in small units. War Gonzo also notes the intensified activity by Ukrainian artillery and drone units. This is part of Kyiv's broader efforts to maintain control over the Sumy region and prevent Russian forces from breaching Ukrainian defenses. Now, turning to the Northern African civil war. Clashes have spread throughout Tripoli overnight, with fighting centered in areas controlled by the government of the National Unity. Heavy gunfire and explosions were reported across multiple neighborhoods, sending shockwaves through the capital. One of the flashpoints was a prison facility where confrontations between government forces and the so-called deterrence forces resulted in a large-scale prison break. A significant number of inmates reportedly escaped during the violence. The Red Crescent Society in Tripoli has declared a state of emergency as rescue services scrambled to respond. According to medical sources, at least 6 people have been confirmed dead following overnight clashes. Emergency responders and humanitarian organizations are urgently calling for an immediate and unconditional ceasefire in all populated areas. Following the strikes on Odessa last April, Ukraine's main intelligence directorate unveiled a new Russian Seed-8000 Banderol cruise missile launched from drones and built from foreign components. Now, what makes it different? Well, as Daft Punk put it, it's harder, better, faster, stronger. The Banderol missile is equipped with a warhead weighing up to 150 kilograms. That's about the weight of a grand piano or 4 bags of cement. On impact, such a charge can level a building, destroy a vehicle, or a dugout. It can travel up to 500 kilometers, that's the distance from Kyiv to Kharkiv, for example, and do so at 500 kilometers per hour. So it takes about an hour to reach its maximum range. And in that time, it could be very difficult to intercept, hard to detect, hard to stop. It runs on standard aviation kerosene, making it cheaper to produce and easier to service, meaning more can be built. It's launched from Orion drones and soon from Mi-28N helicopters. No ground platform needed. The main advantage? Maneuverability. Old missiles are like buses needing rooms to turn. This one is a motorcycle. Fast, agile, quick to change direction, even in crowded airspace. It's also capable of low-altitude flight, hugging terrain to dodge radar. Now, despite sanctions, the missile contains foreign tech. Ukrainian intelligence found 10 US microchips in a Banderol that hit Odessa. Also, parts from Switzerland, Japan, South Korea, and China. The engine, a $16,000 Chinese model for hobby aircraft sold on AliExpress. For that price, you could buy a used car or pay for 2 years of school abroad or power a weapon that kills dozens. Now, this missile is yet another reminder. Russia isn't just adapting, it's getting more ruthless, more cynical, and more willing to use whatever it takes, no matter how crude or illegal, to keep its war machine going. Now let's talk about Ukrainian movements in Russia's Kursk region. During a recon, Ukrainian operators detected enemy movement and did not ignore the opportunity to act proactively. The unit commander quickly assessed the situation and put together a mission. The operators took up a favorable position that allowed them to control the Russians' direction of movement. As soon as the Russian assault group, 8 armed soldiers, was in target area, the Ukrainian fighters opened fire. The battle took just about a few minutes, but resulted in complete annihilation of the Russian element.
Почулися звуки поламаних веток чи якоїсь хуйні. Давайте. Альфа Д. Все, отрыв.
Now imagine, low, almost touching the tops of trees, 2 combat helicopters take off. Without unnecessary movements, clearly, quickly, and in a coordinated manner. This is not a training exercise. This is the bread and butter of Ukrainian Army aviation units. The armed forces of Ukraine conducted a precision strike on a bridge, playing an important role in providing rare communications for the occupation forces near the Ukrainian border. Now, this video of the blast was published not by Ukrainian outlets, but rather by Russian public media. The footage shows twisted bridge spans, debris, water, and clouds of dust that hung in the air long after the strike. Russia is used to sowing destruction abroad, but now the war is creeping back home, not in the form of slogans, but in the form of precision strikes on strategically important infrastructure. The most interesting thing is that it is no longer Ukrainian military intelligence or the media reporting strikes like these, but the Russian themselves. Because the truth, unlike bridges, well, cannot be destroyed.
Лёнь, давай забираем уё... Да, забираем уё...
We close out with a video from the Kherson sector. Russian soldiers who refused to die for Putin were locked in a tank like slaves, giving neither water nor food for several days and motivated in every possible way to join one of the infamous Russian meat assaults. And there were numerous reports of similar cases, with soldiers dying of exhaustion inside their makeshift confines. To hide the traces of the crime, they're often reported as missing. So why are we showing you such a video? Well, to make it clear how Russians treat their own soldiers, without the propaganda, without lies about how heroic they are. There's also another aspect where 8,000 Ukrainian soldiers are still in Russian captivity, and each POW exchange involves a number of detainees not ever reported as captured by the Russians. So if Moscow treats its own troop in this horrific manner, can you even imagine what captured Ukrainians have to go through in Russian captivity?
Ха-ха! Идем кормить животных, которые пытались съебаться от нас. Посмотрим на этих тварюк, чем они тут заняты. О, сидят, блядь, красавцы. Чё, голодны? Будем в печеньку? На, гри печеньку твою. На. О, как смотри, как ест. Чё, может, еще одну? Еще одну? Запомни, бля, подарочек от Ростова. Давай, уплетай, молодец.
And with that footage, we conclude this edition of Military Mind. But for more news, update, and commentary, please stay tuned to TVP World.